to Retire Smart Austin. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Phil Capriotti Sr. of Empower Wealth and Tax. And viewers at home, we're talking all about risk today. Do you know your risk tolerance? Stay tuned. Phil, how are you?
Oh, good morning, Cynthia. I am doing well. How about yourself? How
I am doing fantastic, thank you. And I love the fact that we coordinated a little bit today without even talking about it.
Yeah, it was unintentional. That's perfect. It's the mind. It's the mind connection.
We are one. We are one.
We are one. Yes.
I love it.
It was the mind meld.
Oh, well, Phil, I have to ask you, I know that you've been extraordinarily busy, obviously. People are coming into the office. They're seeking your guidance. They want to sit with your team and ask you a lot of questions about how to plan for their own retirement. But I have to ask you, how are you balancing it all? Because I know that you set aside a specific number of spots for new viewers, but you also have your existing clients that want to sit with you as well from time to time. How's that going?
I normally see anywhere from 7 to 10 clients a day, and I like to mix in my client reviews because my personal clients have clients that I worked with for over 10 years. I still see them on a regular basis.
Okay.
And so I've also added additional investment advisors to take on some of the newer clients after they go through our extensive training. So if an individual calls and let's say their portfolio is under $500,000, they'll be working with a certain group of financial advisors, tax advisors, and so forth.
Okay.
If their portfolio is in that 500 to $1 million, we have another group. Anything from the 1 million, 5, 10, and up. My son Philip will see in the 1 to 2 million range. He'll see it pretty much anyone. And then I'll normally focus on extremely high net worth individuals because they need more advanced tax planning.
Sure.
And so basically and this is the reason we only take 5 callers each and every week. What we want to do is we want to make sure that our existing clients that have been with us for decades get the same service that they've always expected. I believe that you should treat your existing clients as well or even better than new clients. Some advisors go the other way on that because the majority of our business comes from our new clients come from about 40% existing client referrals.
Okay.
And the other is from new folks who are getting ready to retire or thinking about retiring, and they really don't have a clue about tax planning or even managing risk in retirement. So it's been good and it's been easy. So and then I make sure I have 3 days to play a little golf, spend time with Mama, and just have fun. And then the one last thing is I told my wife, she says, when are you going to be retired? I said, honey, we are retired. And she says, but do you work every day? I said, yeah, but that's not really work, okay? It's really fun. We do a lot. I said, we just take more vacations. So plan our vacations. I'll plan to work around them.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yep. Great balance. And also, let's talk briefly about your seminars that you do as well, because I know those are filled to capacity with a lot of interesting topics. So let's talk about those a bit.
Yeah, now what we do is our workshops. The workshops that we have been doing over the last close to 15 years now are educational. We don't do dinner workshops, except the only time we'll do a dinner workshop is with the members up at Horseshoe Bay Resort, the MGA and the Women's Golf Association as well.
Okay.
So since we just opened up our satellite office there, that's really my office. So what we do, and because we belong to the Horseshoe Bay Resort, I like to patronize the yacht club. Their food is great.
Okay.
The service is fantastic. So that's kind of not like having a dinner workshop. I'm kind of patronizing the people that we've learned to grow and love with. So they're all educational. They're designed they focus on tax-efficient retirement planning, and anyone that goes to those workshops also gets 2 to 3 complimentary interviews.
Wow. Just
the same as with our TV and radio audience. It's been a lot of fun, and we're really enjoying it. We don't seem to be slowing down. So we just keep putting on new offices and hiring and training new advisors.
I love it. I love it, Phil. I want to talk to you a little bit about risk tolerance. I know our viewers at home, a lot of times when you ask that question, what is your risk tolerance? Most people would say, oh, I don't know, I'm moderate. But what does that even mean? And how do you help establish someone's risk tolerance? I know there's a lot of questions that are probably involved when people come in to sit with you for the first time.
Well, with as far as suitability, they tell us that we have to ask X amount of questions, okay, pointed in different areas, and we do that. But personally, I like to get to know the client. I like to ask a lot of questions, and only by asking questions do I understand what the client needs, what type of service they require, and what type of portfolio or combination of portfolios we want to offer them.
Okay.
So it really comes down to talking and communicating. So our very first interview is really get a kind of a meet and greet and get to know.
Okay.
So I want to know about. So one of the very first questions I'll ask, in addition to the vanilla paint by number questions, is when the market does another 2008, where the S&P lost 52% within a 15-month basis. This happened in 2000, started in the end of 2007, went to the beginning of 2009. If the market, or if and when the S&P or the market resets, because we've been up and away for the last 15 years.
Absolutely.
If the market loses 30%, how much are you willing to see your portfolio evaporate? And so then they'll talk percentages. Well, 10%, 15%. I say, okay, let's put a numeric value on it. Let's assume you have $1 million in your portfolio for retirement, or $2 million. We'll just take $1 million for an example. And the market drops 50%. That means you now have $500,000. The market needs to make 100% just to get back to the million. So I'll explain that to folks. Now, if your market drops 30% and you have $1 million in your portfolio, are you willing to lose $300,000? I put a numeric value. And normally the husbands, when I'm with a couple, say, yeah, that's okay. And
I was going to say, wait a minute.
Wives,
yeah, hello.
Yeah, a whole nother issue. No. So what we want to do is we want to talk not just in terms of percentages, we want to talk in terms of numeric amounts. The other thing is I want to see what their retirement plan looks like. Have they maximized their Social Security? Do they have a pension? Do husband and wife have a pension? So we need to look at other income before we can really accurately help an individual to determine truly what their risk tolerance is. Many times with folks without a pension, because I'm a firm believer in having mailbox money, yeah, you have Social Security, but you can't just depend on distributions from your portfolio. So this is one of the many ways that we help an individual determine the proper risk tolerance for their family.
Which is so critical to know, Phil, especially in the retirement year. So this is a very important topic for us to be on today. Before we dive in even further, I know that you've set aside a certain amount of spots this week for new viewers and new visitors to the studio, or to the show, I should say, to the office. That's where I was really going.
Just come on in.
You're coming somewhere. Let's talk about what that is.
For those of you who are viewing today, whether you're new viewers or whether you've been watching us for years, dial 888-818-6557. Tell the operator you want to come in to have us run a Morningstar report and portfolio observation and review to, number one, determine what does your current portfolio risk tolerance look like. Many times I'll talk to clients and they'll say, oh, I think it's 10%. And when we run the Morningstar report, we'll find that their drawdown is 30%. So, and then we can help you make adjustments. It's complimentary. Our Morningstar reports are done by certified financial planners and certified financial analysts. They are not folks that sell products. They simply are number crunchers. So snap the QR code or dial the 888. First 5 callers, come on in. Let's talk about your risk tolerance and maybe what changes and adjustments. Remember, folks, there's no obligation to work with us. We simply want to help educate you.
Phil, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is 888-818-6557. This is the perfect opportunity for you to claim one of those spots that Phil has set aside. If you have questions about your risk tolerance, questions about planning your retirement, this is the opportunity for you today. If you don't have a pen, that's okay. Grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to Empower Wealth and Tax landing page. you can claim your spot accordingly. We're going to take a very short commercial break here on Retire Smart Austin. We're talking all about your risk tolerance, how that ties into a very holistic retirement plan. Stay tuned.
For most folks who are getting ready to retire, they've spent 30, 40, 50 years paying into Social Security, and they haven't a clue on what claiming strategy best works for their plan. You should feel comfortable. You should feel safe. You should be educated by your financial advisor in all aspects: law, taxes, inflation, your wealth management, including your insurance products as well. Working with a financial advisor that has their own tax firm, has their own legal arm, and their own wealth management and insurance firm really ties it together. What folks enjoy most of all is working not only with a fiduciary, but they want to work with someone that does it all. They want to come in, they want to do their Roth conversions, they want to do their tax returns, they want to update their wills and their trusts, and they want to come to one firm that has all of that expertise inside of it. That's Empower Wealth.
Welcome back to Retire Smart Austin. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Phil Capriotti Sr. of Empower Wealth and Tax, and we are talking all about understanding and knowing your risk tolerance and how that plays a factor in your holistic, peaceful retirement years. Phil, I have to ask you a question, obviously, that comes to mind for me specifically would be, when you're analyzing someone's risk tolerance, does it ever tie or correlate to someone's age?
Yeah, it always does. As a matter of fact, that's really one of the most important variables that need to be considered is the individual's age. Also, we also want to take a look at the individual and their family's life expectancy. We want to make sure that the client, number one, has increasing income to cope and keep up with inflation, but we really want to make sure that the client doesn't run out of money when they reach into their 80s or even their 90s. So considering risk tolerance when we build a portfolio and age is extremely important. What I like to do with most folks and what they enjoy, there are many investments that we can use to ensure guaranteed income and return. So they're unaffected by market volatility. Many advisors nowadays that work with the big box retailers, and we all know who they are, they're on every single corner of every block anymore, aren't allowed to sell these types of products. In fact, I personally think it's a disservice to the individual, but that's irrelevant. Okay. So many folks are simply happy having an investment portfolio that guarantees them 6% a year return, 7% a year return. Many times what we'll do with risk tolerance is we'll say, look, let's look at your Social Security, let's make that tax efficient. Now let's talk about investments. How about if we set up an income plan that guarantees your income for until you reach 100 plus, then we can become a little more aggressive when it comes to increasing returns.
Okay.
Okay, because we don't have the entire portfolio in the market. So this is something that folks, once it's properly explained, especially by a licensed fiduciary, they get it, they understand it. Because two of the main problems or main concerns that retirees face is, number one, running out of money before they run out of life, and the other one is spending time or having to be committed to a nursing home or rehab center. Sure. They're the two primary concerns. Sure. So when we're looking at risk tolerance and age, things change. My risk tolerance when I was 40 is totally different than my risk tolerance at 50, 70, 80, and so forth. So we want to adjust risk tolerance and drawdown based on several factors: the client's age and also their appetite for market volatility.
Okay. Phil, I have to ask you, you mentioned a Morningstar report. To our viewers at home that don't know exactly what that is, what does that process look like? What does a Morningstar report unveil? That's
a great question. That's an excellent question. When we run a Morningstar report, Morningstar is an independent agency, and many large financial institutions use it. It wants to measure the risk, the return, internal fees of each and every investment you have. So if you own a stock, the internal fees, there are none. okay? Unless you're working with some kind of a crazy advisor, okay, that's charging you for that. When we're talking about an ETF or a mutual fund, ETFs have relatively small internal fees. So we want to look at how much am I paying a group of managers managing that mutual fund each year before I get paid. So this measures internal fees. Almost 90% of the folks that come into our office and have us run a Morningstar report have no idea what their internal fees are. The next thing and the next variable that the Morningstar report measures is volatility and return. Okay, so for instance, we want to take a look at how did this particular mutual fund or ETF or portfolio react during the pandemic? How much volatility or drawdown was in it? How about the China slowdown? How about the financial crisis of 2008? What happened during 9/11, during a terrorist attack? Now, we want to measure these, and the reason we measure it is because when we take a look at past data, it helps us to understand what we can expect if we see a repeat performance of this in the future. So all of this goes into measuring risk tolerance. The Morningstar report cost us thousands of dollars to do for our clients and potential clients. We love to do it because it's our way of, number one, educating the clients, because Senior Empower Wealth and Tax is all about educating the clients and to bring them to a 0% tax bracket in retirement. But we also want to moderate their volatility. So the Morningstar report helps me to explain it to you. You get a copy of it, and also you'll understand it. So again, it's about teaching and training. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of resources, but I believe it's the only way to truly be a complete licensed fiduciary and do the best service you can for your existing clients and potential clients.
So it truly is a deep dive X-ray into a true portfolio performance. I should ask you, are people often really amazed and sometimes shocked to know that they're taking much more risk than what they even thought they were taking?
Number one, they're shocked in many cases, especially when they think their risk tolerance was conservative, and we find out that they're balanced or growth, where they think that their portfolio can't lose more than 10%, which is the way we build portfolios. I build it from the ground up. Okay. How much are you willing to lose? Then we build the portfolio around their risk tolerance, okay? And we make changes along with age. Many folks, after we run that Morningstar report and portfolio observation that gives them recommendations how to make changes based on their specific risk tolerance. Because many folks don't even know what their risk tolerance is. They don't know.
Very true.
Yeah, so it's amazed. And then we give them an entire PDF. And then after that, we'll schedule a follow-up final appointment for a Q&A. I wanted to explain it to them in the office, and all of our advisors do that. We want to give them portfolio observations and recommendations, let them take it home and digest it, and then a week or so later, we invite them back into the office to do questions and answers to fine-tune it. It's amazing. In fact, we started doing this over 10 years ago, and I attribute that to the amazing growth that we've seen over the last 10-plus years.
How often do you recommend rebalancing a portfolio, Phil? We're going to take a quick commercial break in just a moment.
Love it. So it depends. If it's a taxable portfolio, we just implemented new software that actually does tax harvesting monthly.
Okay.
All right, so it rebalances monthly, okay? And that's really great because that frees up money to purchase other types of investments. Maybe there's a new company in AI or what have you. So we want to keep that portfolio truly diversified. The portfolio you had 5 years ago should look totally different than a portfolio you have today.
Okay.
All right, so we normally rebalance the portfolio on average 4 times a year, quarterly, but for most of our clients. But for some clients that have a lot of money in not taxable accounts, not tax-deferred accounts, but they have a lot of it in taxable accounts where they have to pay taxes on the interest and dividends, we like to do tax harvesting monthly. Clients love it.
Wow. Well, Phil, thank you so much. Time for our second commercial break. To our viewers at home, there's a number to call on your screen, 888-818-6557. What Phil and his team have done this week is to set aside 5 spots for new viewers to the show. This is your opportunity to claim one of those spots and to learn if you're taking too much risk. Do you know your risk tolerance? There's a series of questions that you can answer with Phil and his team to know if you are exactly on the right path for your comfortable retirement years. Again, 888-818-6557 is the number to call in. Or if you have your smartphone handy, you're always welcome to pick that up. Click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to Empower Wealth and Tax landing page. You can claim your spot accordingly. We're going to take a very short commercial break here on Retire Smart Austin. Don't go anywhere. We're talking all about risk tolerance, and we have so much more when we return.
You know, in October of 1987, the stock market dropped 22% in what became known as Black Monday. In April of 2000, the dot-com bubble burst, dropping the market 25%. And the banking and mortgage crisis of 2008 plummeted the entire global market 37% in a matter of weeks. Today, rising interest rates and raging inflation has caused the markets to drop significantly with no end in sight. During these volatile times, you want to be assured that your retirement investments are being managed by an experienced financial advisor who know how to weather the hardest of economic storms. Do you want to take the next financial crisis alone? Call me and my team here at Empower Wealth and Tax using the number below. The closer you are to retirement, the more important it is to work with a team of professional, licensed fiduciaries here at Empower Wealth and Tax. Thank you very much and have a blessed day.
Welcome back to Retire Smart Austin. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Phil Capriotti Sr. of Empower Wealth and Tax, and we're talking all about risk tolerance and do you know your risk tolerance for your retirement years? Phil, one of the things that we've spoken about recently in between shows are the people that have called in at one point or the other and they're like, you know what, Phil, I am not going to take any risk. I'm terrified of risk. I'm going to take all of my money, grab it, stuff under the mattress. I'm going right to cash. What do you say to those folks?
Oh, shame, shame, shame is what I normally say. You do not have to go strictly to cash or gold or some other precious metal to keep your money safe. This is why it's extremely important to hire a investment advisor who's a licensed fiduciary. And when I say that, I mean it. For instance, many folks come in and I ask them, how did you do in 2023? And I'll get one of these. I went to cash. Interest rates were so high, I put it in a CD and I'm getting 4.5%, 5.5%. I said, okay, all right, I can understand that. I understand that. But you have to understand you just missed one of the largest run-ups because of the explosion of AI. Our
True.
AI growth portfolios, and again, in moderation, they average 34% return. So you can't miss, that's a lot of return with little risk with respect to knowledge. So what we want to do is we want to look at analytics. Where is the market going based on geopolitical events, economic events? When we saw the AI explosion, we immediately went into a percentage of the clients. I made calls with my clients and I said, look, I'm recommending we move percentage of your money, 10%, 15, 20% into large cap growth. We want to take advantage of this. And by making adjustments in your portfolio, we can still reduce your volatility or your risk tolerance because, again, the expectations and the probability of this sector doing extremely well was very high.
Oh, absolutely.
Very, very little risk. So with those of you who have gone to cash, the problem with cash is it simply does not keep pace with inflation. And if you run like a scared bunny, and I mean that, I truly mean that, without getting professional help and advice and the analysis that's necessary in order to get you the best return for the least amount of risk, cash just doesn't get it done.
I agree.
It truly doesn't.
That's interesting to me, Phil, and it kind of correlates with just emotional finance, if you will, behavioral finance, because so often we hear about people making emotional decisions. That's the perfect example. How do you help people stay calm when there's such turbulent times?
Well, first of all, ongoing communication. So with our company, we mail 2 newsletters every single week. I mail a wealth management newsletter, which lets our clients and potential clients know what our analysts and senior portfolio managers are doing. What is the market doing? What are we doing in response to what the market's doing? Are we putting risk on or taking it off? The other thing that we do is we send out a tax newsletter. As a Ed Slott Master Elite IRA advisor, it's extremely important that folks understand the changes that the government makes each year, sometimes each month, in distribution strategies. So we send out that tax newsletter to keep people educated and informed weekly. We also do in addition to meeting with clients, my clients meet with me normally anywhere from 3 to 5 times a year in person, unless they want to do a Zoom meeting, but I like the person-to-person.
Absolutely.
In addition to that, I also do a Zoom meeting with all of my clients every 6 weeks.
Nice.
Just to bring them up to date. And then anyone that has, and we make portfolio recommendations. And if a financial advisor is not exercising and taking all of these steps towards their clients, they simply, as far as I'm concerned, underappreciating their client. The clients need to know, because knowledge is half of the battle. Once you have the knowledge, the fear subsides.
Absolutely.
When you do not have knowledge, okay, and you have uncertainty, you can become more and more frightened. So again, it's education, ongoing education. It's a beautiful thing.
It really is, Phil. And I know that you've set aside a certain number of spots this week. Let's talk about what that is one more time before we say goodbye to our viewers.
We focus today on portfolio management and risk, and levels of risk tolerance. I want everyone who's watching today, dial 888-818-6557. We'll take the first 5 callers, or click the QR code. We want to run a Morningstar report on your portfolio, whether it's an IRA, a taxable account, a Roth IRA. It's extremely important that you understand the risk. We want to outline what are your internal and external fees, what are you paying for the funds, what are you paying for your manager, and then give you recommendations on what changes to make. Take advantage of our expertise and our knowledge. Dial the number, and I look forward to seeing you in our office.
Phil, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, thank you for spending time with us today on Retire Smart Austin. This is your opportunity to claim one of those spots that are available with Phil and his team. Be safe, be happy, and be blessed. We look forward to seeing you back 1 week from today on Retire Smart Austin with Phil Capriotti Sr. of Empower Wealth and Tax. Take care.